appreciated, but please keep them less than 18 feet wide. Some hotels provide staging, some don't, some charge, some don't. Again, it depends on who you talk to and the rapport that you have built with this person. Rig lights, the audio projections require 3 to 4 20 amp circuits. 3 to 4 meaning 3 minimum, 4 for, safe.
Yes, me when I'm in my zone. S-U-C-C-E-S-S.
Ticket sales are going to start the Monday right after you spring break, so make sure you buy your tickets. Now, if you pay attention to the news, they'll also tell you when you buy your tickets.
Best and I got to believe if I'm ever going to achieve and receive my dream. Right about.
Just come up, you can have my light tech move the camera around, you can see everything that's going on. They love that. And I've only had actually 2 sponsors that took advantage of it. The rest of them have comfort in knowing that, we know what we're doing, or they can, pretty much see what's going on the entire time because they're watching the screen and our camera moves nonstop. We've had a couple who's like, hey, can you go over here? Can you go over there? Not a big deal. They're happy about that. Next we tell them like, and song that's just gonna blow the roof off the place. This should be the peak of your night other than the song right after the King and Queen dance. You're really gonna have 2 peaks of the night. First peak is the Destroyer song and then the after King and Queen song. That's where the energy level is gonna be through the roof. If you can time it properly, you're gonna build a really powerful dance this way. So there's a few different things that I do. First of all, I always do some sort of, upbeat, high energy techno type song, always, okay? And I loop it. And I'm gonna show you a couple different clips, but the first clip is called what I call the grand intro. And it literally is a grand intro, but instead of me introducing a wedding party, I'm introducing the equipment. No joke. I'm telling people, look, we got a big giant screen.
We have 1,500 glow sticks to go out tonight. Make it rain on y'all on glow sticks. Now check it out. Hold up. We could turn off all the lights that just happened. We could just do black lights on. And with black lights, you gotta have glow in the dark bubbles, right? So everybody hands up, come on.
Old school calls. This is great because now what used to not be cool because it was so old school is cool again. All right, check out this video clip where I literally tell them, put your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. Everybody lay it down, come on, represent your town, tell me where you're from, blah, 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 where you're from, blah, blah, blah. And then, now somebody, anybody, everybody scream, ah! Again, old school stuff, but they were digging it. Check out this clip.
Let me hear y'all put your hands in the air and wiggle like you just know. Everybody lay it down. Come on and represent your town. Tell me where you from. Now where are you from? Y'all gon' make me lose my mind. Up it. Y'all gon' make me throw all out.
Hey everyone, Arnaldo Offerman with Master School Dances, here to talk about photography for DJs. So, first of all, when it comes to choosing a camera and a lens, the most important part is choosing a good body. There's 3 different types of sensors out there, and it's really dwindled down to 2. You have your full frame sensor, you have your APS-C, and you have your APS-A. Inside to the sensor, it's only getting parallel rays of light. That means that as we're shooting, the front is going to be in focus, the back is going to be a lot more in focus as well. but the image is going to be significantly darker because you're letting less light in. Using these examples that I'm showing on the screen now, you're going to see this image that was shot at a low aperture value shown on the screen. And then the same image, ISO, everything was all left the same. Aperture was moved to a much higher value, so it was a less direct light coming in. With TV and AV, you choose either your shutter speed or your aperture, and then your exposure, and then the camera does the rest. So for example, let's say I'm shooting a gig log and there's tons of lights going everywhere and it's making my exposure go crazy. I can actually tell my camera, okay, I want it to be this bright or this dark the entire time, but I need to make sure that my camera stays exactly at 1/50th of a second, or it stays at 2.8. And all the settings will change around to make sure that it stays at the exposure you want by keeping either the shutter value or your aperture value that you've chosen. To lens, and I show how the entire venue has been transformed with my lighting, but my DJ setup isn't in the way, that it actually adds to the overall look of the room. Now the same thing goes when you're actually shooting people dancing. If you are wanting just the lights and you don't care if their faces are shown, you have to make sure you have floods. And I discuss about this on the other Master School Dance videos. You gotta have floods when you're doing a light show. As you're shooting, the floods will almost work like off-camera flashes. You can use the floods to your advantage to get some really cool photos of the people dancing. And as you're actually editing the photos, you're gonna notice that their faces may not even be visible. Again, not a big deal for us. We're not there to capture the faces of people. We're there to capture our lighting. So keep that in mind. But let's say it's still a little bit too dark. Pop in your flash. You can diffuse it with one of these. And of course, it makes the flash go all the way out. Different diffusers do different things. Do your research on that. Find one that you like. You can bounce it off the ceiling, or you can aim it directly out. And again, hit your little center button, and you can control your light. Hey everybody, Arnaldo Offerman here with Gear It First and Master School Dances. I'm here with my good friend
Thomas Dean.
So guys, I'm really excited about this show because, well, it's school dances. This is one of my passions. Thomas, I believe this is quickly growing to be a passion for you as well, correct?
Sure has, absolutely. Yeah, thanks to Master School Dances in large part.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So guys, the reason that I brought Thomas on board is because I'll be frank, homeboy bought the videos and has excelled faster than most people that I've seen. I mean, he quickly grasped the concepts, applied it to his own personal business plan, and I remember not even 6-7 months after you bought the videos, you're like, I have 1,000-person, dance, which is it's huge. So, I want to cover some things today in the video, guys, and I want to obviously talk about it from my perspective. But then I want to hear some of the stuff from Thomas's perspective too, so that way you guys can see it. It doesn't matter if you've been doing this for a long time, or if you've been, if you're just starting this, or only 5 years, whatever, into it. The problems that we all face are essentially the same. I just am not too public about my problems because I'm the one supposed to be teaching people. So, Thomas, before we start, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing school dances? How long have you, had your company in general, and what's your ideal clientele?
Okay, well, as I said, hi everybody. My name is Thomas. Nice to meet all you guys. Been DJing, mostly been doing like weddings in the wedding market for right about 10 years. And I stumbled across Arnaldo's videos on YouTube and really wanted to get into the school dance market. Tried a couple seasons at it and thought, this guy's crazy or awesome, one of the two. And there's no way this stuff can work here. Too bad I don't live where he lives so I could do what he does. And I bit the bullet, bought the videos, studied them, watched them a couple times and applied what was in there. And now school dances, I don't do as many school dances as I do weddings in a year, but they're a large percentage of my income. So I make more per school dance than I do per wedding. So they're a really valuable part of my routine, I guess.
That's awesome. And where do you live exactly? What's your market like?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in southern Arizona, in Tucson. So Tucson, Arizona, and really poor areas around here. Schools are broke, don't have money, all of that same stuff that that everybody runs into. We don't have any rich schools around here, like I'm sure none of you guys do either. But worked my way around that after a few seasons of not having the videos to learning what I learned in the Master School Dance series, and was able to overcome a lot of the obstacles.
That's awesome. So the first thing I guess we should really talk about is, why school dances. So I figure I'll give a couple of my reasonings why I got into school dances. And then Thomas, I'd love to hear what made you decide to jump into schools. It's when I first really started into the whole DJing thing, I remember the most popular board at that point was DJ Chat, and man, school dances just had a lot of people being negative about it. They're like, oh, the kids tell you that you suck. There's no money. And I mean, there was a lot of negativity, a lot of bad stigma to it. But I was still in high school, and I remember, the reason the kids are telling DJs that they suck is because they do suck. And I guess it, hurts DJs' feelings to hear that. But I remember in my experience, like, my high school, we're mostly Hispanic. I mean, or at least half the school is mostly Hispanic. We have one of the halls that's called the D wing. It's called the Puerto Rican wing. Like, if you don't speak Spanish, you're not getting anywhere there. Like, all the Latinos hang out there, And, I mean, at our prom, you would think that the DJ would have played more than one or two Latin songs. Instead, it was only like one. It was Suavemente, which is basically bottom merengue for us. Like, whatever. I mean, I don't dance, so for me, it doesn't matter. But as a DJ, I'm like, bro, this guy's not playing anything these guys want. And then later on, I see this DJ on the forum saying, just the schools keep saying that I suck. I'm like, well, maybe it's because it is. But for me, it really came down to it's a different level of energy that you get out of a wedding.
Right.
And unlike weddings,
Absolutely.
It's repeated business. So much repeated business. Yeah. What about for you, Thomas? What were a couple of your main reasons for wanting to get into school dances?
Well, as you just mentioned, the different level of energy. I didn't quite want to go the club route as far as like getting that kind of energy on a dance floor, but I still, I saw some of the stuff in some of your promo videos and some of the other, better ran school dance companies around the country that might have some videos up, and I said, wow, that's really cool. I want to get into that. I feel that my DJ skills, as far as being on the turntables, are good enough. What else do I need? What else do I need to get into that market? And I realized that there's kind of a void. There's a lot of DJs in this town. They're flooded, but there's not really any great ones that are applying what you got in those videos. And once I realized there was an opportunity to make as much money as there is, I had no idea how much money could be made from school dances. I thought, a couple $100 just because that's what I was hearing from schools. Oh, our budget's this, our budget's that. And I thought, okay, well, that's all there is because that's their budget. Well, that's thrown out the window now, and I can help them. Well, anyway, but yeah, so is the money and the energy, the different energy.
Absolutely. It's, and don't get me wrong, we can create some amazing energy at weddings, but, wedding, they're really not there for the DJ specifically. They're there for the bride and groom. At a school dance, I mean, they're there for the DJ. They may not be there for us specifically, not until we build that kind of following, but, I mean, they're there to dance.
They're there for what we bring.
Exactly. They're there to dance. And at the same time, I've told DJs, it is the number one barometer of how good of a DJ you are because there is no alcohol, I mean, for the most part, to inhibit people. So, if these students that came to dance aren't dancing, as DJs, we're doing something wrong. So, today's shows, I want to cover a little bit about the myths and truth of school dances. And you guys are going to obviously hear from two different perspectives. Number one is that schools don't have any money. I've said this multiple times. Thomas just said it. There is money in school dances. And some DJs or companies in general, well, there's barely any money to pay teachers around here or build schools and et cetera, et cetera. We come from poor areas. I totally get it. But let me explain to you how this works. We've got two different budgets. You've got your federal and state budget, and then you have student budget. These are two totally different things. Now, there's a little bit of crossover, but not much. Basically, the money that the students raise, we'll use homecomings as an example, right? You have the SGA, or the Student Government Association. Some schools call them Student Council. But for the most part, it's Student Government Association. You have SGA. They raise money. Now, they don't raise money just for the school dances. They raise them for everything. Thomas, now that you're doing more and more school dances, I'm sure you've worked with multiple SGAs and you've seen, they do everything. They raise money for graduation. They raise money to help other schools out. They raise money to help the needy. They do some incredible projects. Well, the homecoming dance for a lot of these schools is a big fundraiser for them. So a lot of SGAs are, they're basically doing one or two things. Either A, they understand that it takes money to spend money, and they make their homecomings into a big production. Out of that area, it branches into two things. Either A, they're spending their money where they should, to entertainment, or they're putting this much in entertainment and this much on decor.
Yeah.
You've ran into some of those, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So, and one of the reasons I actually wanted, that I'm kind of glad that you're on this show is because I've actually talked to a few schools in Arizona, and I've seen some of the setups that they do, and I'm seeing this rinky-dinky DJ setup and about $15,000 in decor in their gym, which blows my mind, and that's the way that it used to be here. But at the same time, production companies, especially here in my area, they would turn into vultures because they would see, okay, well, they're selling, even a smaller school. Let's say they only have maybe 500 or 600 tickets, and they're charging $20 a pop. That's still a lot of money. So they're circling around like vultures trying to charge as much money as possible. And yeah, there is money in the SGA, but ultimately you need to help them raise more money than what you charge them. Right. If you break out in the even, we didn't do a very good job. I think that's really what separates, especially, what I like to teach and what I've seen a lot of people do, yourself included, that we're not just coming in to show up, play music, and leave. They're a consultant. We help them. We help them understand how to raise ticket sales, and then we follow up with them. You want to build that long-term relationship. The SGA is more of an industry, I think, than the DJ industry are. These students get together. They have multiple districts in each state. They get together. They have their own conferences. They have the big state conference. So for us, it's Florida Association of Student Councils. Thomas, I'm sure you've heard of the Arizona Association of Student Councils. And then you have the National Association of Student Council. And then you even have it on an international level. So the best part is that any DJs out of the U.S. are like, well, it's different in the U.S. No, it's not. Because I actually talked to students from the U.K. I talked to students all the way in Japan. And they all say the same thing. They don't want to spend money because all the DJs they've seen suck. And if the ones that are good are horrible, horrible salesmen. Thomas, in your experience, how many times have you dealt with the SGA as opposed to just a traditional class? Because some schools don't even have SGAs, or they do, but they just don't care. So what's been your experience where you're at?
As far as dealing with the SGAs as compared to just a regular class?
Yeah.
Well, it's been, I'd say, I've dealt with a few more SGAs. I recently did what's, for my market anyway, is a really big dance. It was, the school itself has about 2,000 kids in total, from freshmen to seniors. They sold 1,000 prom tickets, so that was a lot for me anyway. This is the biggest dance I ever did.
Yeah.
And then my smallest one has been about 40 kids. And so I've done a couple schools where it was just a class or one class period where they meet and they don't really have a student council that functions as that. But it's been all over the place so far.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you mentioned the two different school sizes. For a lot of schools, people don't realize that bigger doesn't necessarily mean more money for us. Now, I have some schools that are huge, and obviously I charge a lot more than a smaller school. But that bigger school requires way more capital, way more staff. I have packages and ranges from, $2,000 all the way to $15,000 is usually our average homecoming rate. And I love doing the big setups. Don't get me wrong. Oh my goodness, there's a couple of schools. Energy is just through the roof. But as a company, I would make more money sometimes doing the smaller setups. So DJs, don't get discouraged if you can't do these huge, big setups, because sometimes all you need is, a decent size setup, good sales skills, more importantly, good DJ skills, and one or two assistants, and you can make a great, comfortable profit. So definitely don't be in that, myth that, oh, well, I'm not in this area where there's 3,000 or 4,000 students. And there are some schools that have 3,000 or 4,000 students and they all go to their homecoming dance. Super easy to make money that way. I mean, you could just fart and make a sale at that point. And then you have some markets, and I don't know how similar yours is to mine, but, I'm in Florida, right? So if I'm, like, my county, oh, my God, it's awful. The time that I would spend trying to convince one of my schools to spend money, and it doesn't matter whether he's my techniques or not, because I know that I could get these schools. So I've gotten a few schools in my county to go with us and everything else, but some of them don't have SGAs at all. So it's only one teacher making a decision. She doesn't hear any feedback from any students saying the dance sucks. Yeah, I could sit down and show her and sell her. But by the time that I wasted all that time, I could have booked 3 or 4 schools over in Orlando that understands they have that big expectation because they've seen the other schools. Then I go over to Tampa, where Twitter apparently doesn't exist. So these students don't see what the other schools have. And then I can go down to Fort Meade. These are not even an hour drive away from each other. Now I can go down to Fort Meade, which is about 45 minutes from here. Fort Meade High School, they're a client of ours. But believe it or not, Thomas, they have I think 300 students total, kindergarten through 12. Or to me, 6 through 12.
Oh, wow.
So it's, my market's really weird like that. So everybody, my market's not all glitz and glamour like everybody thinks it is. It's just that I understand how to get these schools to, invest in what's going to make them the most money. I mean, what's your market look like? Is it similar to that, or is it just really one specific size, genre, that kind of thing?
No, my market really varies in size as far as schools go, but I don't have the large geographic area. It's pretty much just Tucson, the schools that are within Tucson, and then nothing really outside of that. I mean, I got Phoenix about an hour and a half north, bunch of schools up there, but it's just me. I don't have a big company. It's just me. I've got my 2 brother-in-laws that help me out. If I'm lucky, maybe a friend or 2 if it's something really big. So I try not to bite off more than I can chew, for one. So I keep it to just Tucson. But yeah, there's
smart.
There's a few private schools around that I know spend a lot of money that I haven't got into them yet, but I'm gonna get there. And the just your average poor district, don't have money to pay teachers. Teachers are paying for school supplies out of their own pocket, that kind of thing. That I'm selling these dances to.
No, you're absolutely right, and we've gotten a few of those, and it's so weird because it's some of my, I don't want to say poor schools, but it's some of the schools that are similar to what you're describing. But yet I pull into the parking lot and these students are driving BMWs and Range Rovers. So I'm like, hold up a second. I think the best barometer of understanding what that market is like is kind of, just drive by the movie theater late at night, Saturday and Friday night. Because if these students are willing to spend money, and I've talked about this in the series, if these students are willing, to spend, let's say, $12 a ticket plus popcorn, soda, I mean, on average, they spend maybe $40 a weekend going out for 2 hours of entertainment. They have the money. Unfortunately, the school may not have that money. And this is something I'm actually been kind of working on a new seminar series. I don't want to make it a shameless plug, but I'm working on a new seminar series that basically talks about good karma. We are working with some schools, and we have done things to try to help them raise money. Unfortunately, when it comes to teacher salaries and all that, there's not much that we can do. But I have told my schools, listen, anytime that you guys need to do a petition or a rally or demonstration and you need gear, it's on me. You let me know what you need, I'll give it to you. Because our governor is an imbecile that believes that, schools shouldn't get money, and that's a whole different discussion. But if you're in Florida and you vote for Rick Scott, I'm doubling the fee for anything I ever charge you. No, I mean, it's just bad. I actually have one of my schools, believe it or not, Thomas, that the projector, like when I did my meeting, I bring my own projector, but they already have one there, and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I hooked it? And she goes, no, it doesn't work. The bulb is out, and I have to buy a new one. I'm like, hold up.
You have to buy a new one?
What do you mean you have to buy a new one? I mean, this teacher has to buy her own bulb. I mean, it blows my mind. My kids, their track coach actually had to buy and put his own money into uniforms and cleats and stuff because the school just didn't have the money. But unfortunately, this money that goes into school dances doesn't affect that. There are things that we can do that will help on that. I have one school that, I had to give them a mulligan because they didn't have as much money because they had to raise money. Actually, I've had 3 schools that had to raise money for a new football field because the hurricanes completely destroyed it. I had one of my schools. This was my second year working with them, and I always talk about charge what you're worth, but at the same time, I'm all about good karma. But I'm not going to give just things, dances randomly away on busy dates. But I was prior. But I sent them an email. I'm like, why don't you guys want to do the pipe and drape? And they're like, well, we want it. We just can't afford it. We just donated, I think it was $10,000 for a student that had leukemia. So they raised money for them. And I'm like, it's on me. I'm not even sweating it. It was maybe $2,000-$3,000 upgrade for pipe and drape, which is a lot of money for a lot of DJs for an upgrade. But I'm like, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say, okay. And they were okay with it. They weren't expecting me to give them a freebie, but I did because I know what this SGA does for this school. And if they did something like that, not an issue. I also have some other schools that they help me out, so I help them out. So a lot of DJs need to understand that, every market is completely different, but really understand what your school does, what your SGA does, and while you have a business to run and you have to stick with your price, charge what you're worth. But once you establish that loyalty with the school and the school's loyal to you, hook them up once in a while. It's
right.
We always we're in a, and I'm sure you've seen my rants. We're in a world of terrible customer service, Thomas. Companies just don't care anymore. Are you familiar? Are you familiar with the website Crutchfield.com, the ones that sell car out and everything else?
Yep.
I don't know if you've ordered from them lately, but I bought a car steer from not that long ago because they helped me for hours. I'm not going to go to Amazon if they help me for like that. After I bought everything, I got a handwritten thank you card. When's the last time you ever got a handwritten thank you card from anybody?
Wow. Yeah.
And
that's insane.
And it
doesn't happen.
And it wasn't send out cards. It was I actually went in there trying to smear in the ink. I'm like, no, this can't be.
Really?
Yeah, it was a real thank you card. And it was something that let me see real quick. I actually have one that we did not send out. Give me a moment here. So we started doing the same thing. After every one of our school dances, we have a thank you card, and we send this to our advisors. Not always because the United States Postal Service sucks, but we send that out there. And of course, some of my guys don't know how to freaking write in the back like I told them to. That's a whole different discussion. But we send our schools thank you cards. Why? Because it was the same feeling that I got. I'm like, wow, that really stood out. So. Yeah, I mean, be proactive, DJs. Once you get your foot into the school and you do your dance, the most important, the hardest step, in my opinion, is keeping your foot in that school. Because I don't know if you've seen it yet, Thomas, but schools, some of them will change advisors every year. Some of them will change, every couple of years or so, and then all of a sudden, you don't have that school anymore because they may use a friend, they may have came from another school. And now you got to start all over again. And I probably lose about maybe $30,000, $40,000 in contracts every year from schools that switch people. But then that person that switched to a new school uses us for the new school. So I'm like, okay, now I got my foot in this school, but now I got to put my foot back in this other school.
Right.
But now, real quick, let's talk about, with the whole being proactive, it's being forward. Literally, be forward. Be that, I don't want to say be that creepster date, but don't be afraid to ask the schools, hey, how were your other prospective dates? Thomas, do you ask schools after you meet with them, hey, not necessarily who have you talked to? I do ask them who they've talked to, but what have you thought so far? Do you ask them that? And what's been some of the feedback that you've gotten?
Well, I've asked, I haven't so much asked them what they thought of me so much. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're touching on, but as far as asking them about the other suitors, I have asked basically, okay, so why am I here? We're talking about me possibly doing these, your school dances this year for a reason. Mm-hmm. What was it about the previous year's DJs that made you want to seek someone else? Look for things to build on and capitalize on to, drive certain points home that you highlight in your videos that allow me to really set anchor myself in with them.
No, absolutely. One of the things that I'm kind of glad you jumped into that part is that a lot of DJs try to sell to schools like weddings. Oh, let the client talk. And it's important, but a lot of times the client doesn't know what they want, or they think they know what they want, and it's totally the wrong thing. And I know that sounds real bad, but, I've had schools that they tell me, this is what we want. I'm like, that's a terrible idea. And here's why. Now, look, I tell them, I hate being negative, but I do a lot of these dances. I do hundreds every year. can I tell you why I personally wouldn't do it? So while all these other DJs jump in and they just try to be yes men, oh yeah, we can do that, oh yeah, we can do that, I'm the one person that said, no, here's why I wouldn't recommend that. And yeah, I mean, maybe sometimes I might rub them the wrong way, but it hasn't worked against me, so that's been pretty good. But then, like you said, you want to make sure you find out if they called you for one or two reasons. Either A, they have to get the 3-quote rule, because a lot of counties do require their schools to get multiple quotes. I really wish we could do that with superintendents. Like, oh, okay, well, then how about we just get 3 quotes from 3 superintendents and we go with the lowest one, since that's what you think is okay to do with vendors. And I've told the superintendents that too, so I mean, I have no shame on that. Well, no, and it's crazy because I've actually talked with procurement, the purchasing department. I'm like, why do you guys ask for 3 quotes? They're like, well, we need to make sure they're getting the best deal. I'm like, how do you quantify that?
Yeah, you can't. They're not comparing apples to apples.
Exactly, and they don't realize it. Like, I actually have wondered, like, well, this DJ's bringing out lights. Okay, what kind of lights? Like, do you understand what the difference between this and this and this? Well, no. I'm like, okay, so let's talk about sound. Well, this DJ said 2,000-3,000 watt speakers, and I told him, like, well, first of all, without getting too geeky on you, watts is not how loud a speaker is. It's basically how much power it takes. But do you understand what 3,000 watts can do? And she goes, no. I'm like, so how do you compare that? And then it was crazy because, we started talking more and more. I mean, we got the contract with that school, which was no issue. We've worked with them for a while. But then they switched to a new thing. They wanted this and this insurance policy and all that. And I sent it over. And this procurement department, she contacts me. And she's like, hey, she goes, I hate being a pain, but we need workman's comp. We need this and that. I'm like, yeah, no worries. Just out of curiosity, did the other companies have workman's comp? And she's like, no, they said that, they're exempt. I'm like, it's not that they're exempt. They're 1099. They're subcontracting everybody, so they can't get workman's comp. But do you know the difference between DJ insurances and production insurances? And I showed her a standard DJ insurance. And I'm like, look, if this guy says that he's going to hang trussing over people's heads, yeah, that DJ insurance policy doesn't cover it. And she fired back, like, well, it says here that they're covered. I'm like, that's because the insurance does not know that they're hanging stuff over people's head. Because I used to have that insurance policy, and they specifically said, no, you can't. And she's like, well, I didn't know that. Why don't they ever check on that? Because they don't care. DJ insurance companies don't understand what DJs are now doing, whether they're rigging or staging. And pro tip, if you get into staging, not even riggers insurance. Like, I have a huge insurance policy. Will not touch staging. They already told me if I ever go into staging, I have to go with somebody else in general. So that is like the one thing that I do tell schools, look, I have to subcontract this part out. I mean, I'll get you a better deal than if you went to them directly, but I kind of have to subcontract that part out at that point because we didn't have the insurance and nobody wanted to touch staging. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But, I mean, yeah, ask for feedback, and whenever you guys get an answer that you may not necessarily understand, don't leave it as it is. Ask why. Because while you want to educate your client, clients are so tired of people trying to educate them. I mean, just let's be honest. Everybody's trying to go with an educational approach. Right. So I'd rather client tell me, hey, this is why we do it this way. Oh, okay. And then ask them, do you mind if I'm honest with you? And I've never had a client say, no, don't be honest with me. I've always had them say yes, expecting like some weird rambunctious email, and that's exactly what they get. I recently had the privilege of doing a seminar at the Florida Association of Student Councils, and I actually talked about making school dances great again, lock them up. The DJs, I mean. But just basically making school dances just amazing again, understanding what DJs are doing that are wrong and everything else. And it's crazy. I mean, all over my state, and even when I talked to some of the schools that were out of the state, the number one thing kept saying, it was either the DJ was bad or the DJ promised way more than they actually delivered. Have you heard that one? Because I'm hearing it more and more and more about a DJ coming in saying he's a production company, bringing in big video screens, etc., and it's a completely subpar production. Have you seen that happen in your market yet?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Now, that's been a factor in some of the schools that I've gotten as far as, that's been one of their complaints. Hey, they overpromised, underdelivered sort of thing. And I think they were just, the DJ was just trying to sell the biggest package they could to the school, and fell short on how they maybe were too good of a salesman and not good enough DJ, or they didn't have the right balance and they oversold themselves, and they just left these people expecting I don't know what, and they didn't deliver it.
So what would you say right now, especially somebody that, has, well, how long have you been officially doing school dances again?
This was my second season that I've done at least one school dance. So I've had a successful season this past school year from homecomings, formals, and proms. But before that, the school year before that, I was lucky enough I got one prom out of all the schools I tried contacting. But yeah.
What would you say has been the biggest roadblock that you've hit? Whether it's something negative from the schools as far as this is where we don't have the money, or this is what we've seen before that we don't want to see again. What's been like the one constant?
Oh man, that's tough because there's like two that are the one. It's either I couldn't get a hold of the person and I wasn't persistent enough. I couldn't get to the right person, or I let them lead the process and they were like, okay, our budget's $300. Can you do that? And something like that. And I ran into a roadblock at that point because I was like, what do I do? I don't want to give them all this stuff for $300, but I don't want to lose out on the business either. So that was a huge roadblock for me and kept me out of a lot of dances until I learned how to overcome both of those. And that's kind of why I had, one school dance the year before and a lot more this year.
So have you asked them, because I think that's the one question that they kind of get, shocked with. Have you asked them, where did you come up with $300?
You know what? I haven't asked them how they came up with that budget. I haven't got that far into it yet. I think I might have asked before, or at least they told me whether I asked them or not. But it's pretty much, well, that's what we always pay. We always pay this much. So that's what we want to keep paying.
See, and I love when they give that answer. For me, it's always been one or two things. Either it's a really low figure, that's always we've been paying. Sometimes it's like out in school, hey, we have $2,000. This is what we paid in the past. And honestly, this is how much exactly we've already budgeted for, because the school plans 2 or 3 years ahead and they've already budgeted everything.
Right.
Which in that case, we talk about, okay, yeah, we can make this package work, but in reality, you really need to consider building up a little bit more. Or in some cases, no, this is all you need. Great. But the ones that are giving me 3-digit numbers, and well, this is what we paid in the past. Okay, well, let me ask a real honest question. Why aren't you using the same DJ that you used in the past? Obviously, you found somebody last year for $300. Why are you not using them? And the school, every time, well, they go with a list of problems, or sometimes they say, he's not available. I'm like, okay. And even if they say he's not available, I'm like, did the students like him? And sometimes the administrators or the sponsors say they don't know. And that's why I like meeting in front of the students, because you get the advisor that thinks the dance went great and the students were real happy. And then I ask the students and they have a completely different story. And you just see their eyes like, and then I feel horrible. I'm like, yeah, listen, I don't want to say your dance sucked, but this is what they're saying. I mean, you spent $300 for crying out loud. I had one school years ago where they told me their light show was literally the principal turning the lights on and off because the DJ didn't bring any lights. Yeah. I'm like, God, well.
I heard that too. Oh my gosh. That's horrible.
Oh gosh. It happens way more often than it should. Or I love the ones that say they have the theater students do it, and not that there's anything wrong with that until they realize, listen, your event insurance does not cover that. What? Mike, your event insurance does not cover you taking the lights out of your theater and just hanging them willy-nilly around the gym. Not how it works. And how one school actually challenged me on that, and they looked it up, and they're like, oh, yeah, we looked it up, and you were right. Mike, I don't want to be that guy that says I told you so, but I told you so. And it's not a big deal. I mean, 9 out of 10, something falling. No, nothing's really going to fall, but it's not if it does, it's when it does. Who's paying for it? Are you suing the school or are you suing the student? I think for me, the biggest roadblock has been me specifically. I get one school that, I'm their DJ, and my guys are all great, but then the school sees me or they see the other guy or whomever, and then if one of our guys aren't available that year, and I use one of their DJs. No, we want you specifically. We're going to go with somebody else. Am I working with another company? Like, if you go with somebody else, you're back to square one. And I have this conversation multiple times every year. I'm like, look, I understand, but I cannot promise, believe myself, I cannot promise myself, because it's not a money thing or who spends the most money. But I need to be in a central area. I run the primary part of the business. I drive the bigger of the trucks, lasers and all that. I only have so many laser safety officers in the company, people that are certified to do, video within our company and everything else, because we have our own certification program to work within our company. I'm like, there's only so many people that I trust. So if I'm sending your DJ here, but he has experience doing this, this, and this, and I have a school that books this and this and this, I got to send him there. Or he may have already been booked ahead of time. But all my guys are great. I don't subcontract anybody. Excuse me. But then I get some schools, and they're like, well, yeah, but we're going to look around then to see. I'm like, well, that's fine, but you're going to lose your loyalty pricing. We have a basic business policy. As long as you use us, your price will always stay the same. I have schools that are only paying $7.95 for a pretty decent prom package that's worth 2 or 3 times that price, because they've been with me since 2005. And I'm a huge believer in rewarding loyalty with loyalty. Everybody in the company knows that. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm just looking at all the questions here.
Sure.
But because of that, when I tell them, like, look, you lose that discount that I gave you, and your package was originally like $2,500 versus $2,000, so our prices went up. You're going to pay close to $2,500, $2,700. And they come back, all right, well, we looked around. I'm like, I hear it every single time. That's been the biggest one. And funny enough, somebody asked about mixes. I mean, yes, I do mix, and I talk about this in the videos. Thomas, do you show people at your consultations what you can do? Do you mix live yet at the events?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I most definitely do. I haven't always, but that's one thing I kind of picked up at, in your videos. And sorry to mention your,
no, go ahead.
Some of the stuff you talked about, but, kind of like it's in an audition and not in consultation, you know what I mean? And I don't know how much video content, I don't want to bring up too much of what you have in those paid videos, but
you're good.
But yeah, like you call it a consultation or you call it an audition, and that's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So I bring gear with me, and some of the students are like, whoa, what's this? What's going on? Is he going to play music? And kind of like what you say, hey, are you going to hire a chef if you haven't tasted his food? Same kind of deal. So yeah, I bring maybe a lighter, maybe a single light, and a speaker and a mixer, and mix for them for a few minutes just to kind of show them, hey, I'm a DJ.
What's been the reaction you've gotten when they actually see you coming in with, your DJ system, especially because I know you mix on turntables and all. What's been the reaction that the students give you when you're coming in with all this stuff?
Yeah, well, usually they're like, oh, hey, party, you know what I mean? They're like, hey, are we having a party in here today? Or something like that. And, the kids are usually really into it. And the teacher, a lot of times the teacher, or the sponsor, sometimes they might be a little nervous at first because they're like, okay, there's this guy I've never met. He's in my classroom with a speaker and a light, and what's going to happen? Am I about to get in trouble with noise from the other classrooms and stuff like that? So the reactions from the sponsors are kind of all over the place. The kids are usually uniformly pretty happy, like, oh, that's awesome. And then that alone has helped, it gives me a good rapport with the students right away.
Absolutely.
The fact that I brought some music and a light, and nothing crazy. It's not that I'm there to put on a light show, but I can show them, hey, if I want this to be a black light, or if I want this white or whatever, and just say, hey, that he controls his lights. It's not just this spin and puke thing that this other guy had from Radio Shack or whatever. So yeah, I've gotten really good reactions from bringing stuff, and that's actually how I won my biggest school this year was an event like that. It was actually a lunch jam they wanted me to do, and from my performance, my DJ performance at their lunch jam, they decided to fire their other DJ that they already signed a contract with.
What?
So they paid us both.
That's
they paid
awesome.
us both because they had already contracted with that other DJ. And then when those kids heard me play during the second lunch, like 4 kids from student council came up and were like, hey, can you DJ our prom this year? I was like, inside, I was like, are you serious? I was real giddy and like super happy. But externally, I was like, if I'm available, we can talk about it. Absolutely.
Isn't it the hardest thing? Because you're like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, okay, if I jump up and down and squeak right now, they're probably going to change their mind. So I better not.
So
but
Actually, there was something really interesting you said, and that's about, how the advisor will get nervous when they see us rolling with speakers. Always got that to the point they're like, hey, just be careful. And I always worried about making them apprehensive about that. So I actually no longer bring a speaker to my meetings. I have my little Ultimate Ears Boom because it's got a 1/4 inch input, and I do the XLR to 1/8 inch or whatever. Not 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch. I plug it in here. This thing is loud enough that, you can get easily a whole classroom to hear and then some. But it's great because it just literally stays in my coffin. I just turn it on. One less thing for me to hook up, and it's battery powered.
Excellent idea.
So yeah, that's my tip of the day.
Wow.
So real quick, let's go ahead and I'm going to start getting some of the prizes out, and we'll kind of go into the second portion. While I start downloading this, I just want to let you guys know the way that I'm doing this. I'm downloading now everybody that signed up on the website. Today we actually have 3 prizes we're going to give away. Ooh. I'm putting this into random.org/list, and we'll go in order. There is like a 30-second delay, I believe. It is, let's see. Actually, funny story, Thomas. I lost a school by a DJ using my own sales techniques.
Really?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that I did share some of these tips with, and I mean, they're friends. I don't care. But I went over to the school. I didn't bring my, turntables and all that because I'm like, you know what? I have enough video. I have the reputation. And I had the video and the reputation, but they went with the other DJ specifically because he mixed and took the request right then and there. I'm like, son of a gun. Like, this mother just beat me with my own damn cell technique. and I know I'm not the only DJ that's ever done that before, so hopefully I'm not. But it's just the things that DJ did. I'm like, yeah, I know who he is. He subscribed to my stuff. He moved here to Florida. Again, no big issue. So I'm going to start calling out the names. The first winner is going to win the Master School Dances series. So, guys, if you don't know what is in the Master School Dances series, you get 5 amazing videos. You get marketing and selling for DJs, performance for DJs, tech specs, which talks about selling the gear. We actually get to sell our gear. We get to put pretty photos of our gear and impress people with it. That's another fun thing about doing school dances. They do care about the gear. Taking amazing photos, and there's WordPress for DJs. WordPress for DJs is now completely defunct. I mean, there's still some good tips in there, I think. And I say I think because it's been a while, but there are some good tips. I am working on a new seminar that's going to replace that, and anybody that's bought the Master School Dances series will get that for free. You included, Thomas, as well. So each video, I can't remember. I know they're like over 2 or 3 hours each individual video, so it is a lot of content.
Yeah,
normally,
it's a lot.
Normally it is $2.99, but today it is free for somebody. And since you guys tuned in today, until midnight tonight Eastern Central, if you guys shoot me a message and you're interested in buying the School Dances series, you can get them for only $2.25 as opposed to $2.99. But we've got 1 prize of the Master School Dances, and then we have 2 more prizes from Marathon, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, and we'll kind of go into part 2 because I'm curious if you already hit this part or not. First of all, let's see. Mike Wims. Mike Wims, are you here? Mike. So we'll give you about a minute or so. Our next 2 prizes, Thomas, are from Marathon Pro / 6-Star DJ, and they're doing their 1200 series headphones. As a DJ, I always go through headphones. I break quite a bit of headphones because, you know what, it doesn't matter how much you spend on them. My first pair of headphones were like $400, and I broke them within a year and a half. But the Marathon ones, I actually have a pair, and I had them with me, but I think I lent them to one of my DJs. They sound good. It's a stupid affordable price, so if I break them, not a big deal. Or if somebody steals them, not a big deal there. But they do sound good. They are comfortable, and they are very similar as far as, what you're expecting from a DJ brand, and that's from our friends at Marathon Pro. I'm a big fan of Marathon because of their road cases. Have you switched to road cases yet right now, Thomas, or how are you transporting your gear right now?
Some of my more expensive stuff I have in road cases, and some of it I don't yet. I'm working on my way there. It's just kind of, as a single op with a small budget myself, I kind of have to allocate stuff, prioritize. So yeah, I don't have road cases for everything, but I'm on my way.
Real quick, Mike, going once, going twice, and if not, I'm going to punch in the next name shortly.
Mike.
When I first started, I was just literally using
Oh, man.
I was using just duct tape around the original cases, and some of the stuff I still am just because it's hard for me to buy, with some of the cheaper effects lights, like, my ADJ tri-phase or quad phase, it's really hard for me to buy a, $100 case for like a $300 light. But then I'm like, oh, right. I broke a $300 light, and now that became a $600 light. I'm like, son of a gun. What? Right. And again, part of the reason why I asked Marathon, hey, would you like to be involved with this, is because I do use Marathon products.
Wow.
I love their cases. I love the fact that they can even do custom cases and everything else. Real quick, let me stop for a second. Mike, okay, unfortunately you're not here, bud. Dominic Moser. Dominic, you are the winner of the Master School Dances. And if you already have the Master School Dances, that's fine. Then I can give you the pair of headphones, or we can discuss with an alternative Master School Dances related price. So Dominic, if you are there, you have about maybe a minute or so to answer. But yeah, I mean, I just started putting everything in the cardboard cases, and you can fit a bit more, but it becomes a pain. I found out it was the weirdest thing, from one of my bigger schools, that one of the things they said they liked about our company is that when they were doing, they did a video, like a, day of video. And they said it was kind of cool that, we actually rolled in the trailer, and after we had the ramp and everything down, or sometimes we have the big 26-foot truck, we rent U-Hauls. I'm not buying a friggin' truck. Hell no. But, after we pulled into the truck or the truck, I can't remember which one it was, but we were actually rolling cases in, and they said it almost gave that concert-type feel to their behind-the-scenes video. I'm like, that is the most petty thing I've ever heard in my life, but I totally get it, because we kind of take that stuff for granted. Yeah. But, for the school, it is kind of cool. Hey, look, this guy's coming in road cases. They're not just coming in with, bags. And by the way, DJs, if you use the Bose system or like strip type lighting and you're putting them in rifle cases, don't be an idiot and bring those to a school dance. Jesus, I can't believe I'm having to say that, but we've had this discussion already. Dominic is not here, so our next one is Greg Ostrowski. Greg, are you here? Greg Ostrowski, are you here? Let's see here. I'm actually going to do 3 names, and the first one will get the Master School Dances. Next 2 will get the headphones. So we have Greg, we have Jacob Mandelbaum, and Walter Dantzler. So we'll try those 3 and see who can get in. So again, we have Greg, Jacob, and Walter. All right, Greg, Jacob, and Walter. 3 prizes at a time. But yes, I mean, it was one of those things that I'm like, okay, that's petty, but that makes sense.
Right.
Also, it's not like road case technology really changes, but the nice thing, at least about road cases, we've had a couple of, we've repurposed, we made our own. I don't know if you ever tried making your own road case, Thomas.
Not with anything more than duct tape around the original box.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Let me give you a pro tip on how to do it. Don't. It sucks. I spent, I mean everybody else in the company spent an entire day making road cases while I just sat there like a freaking bump on a log. And yeah, it just was an all day, I don't want to say waste of time, but I'm like, damn it, now I totally understand why these people charge so much for a freaking road case. So, real quick, hold on a second. I don't have anything for Greg, Jacob, and Walter. So let's go ahead and go to the next 3. We have, hang on one second. We have Candace, Chris, McMahon. So, it's funny. One of the guys is commenting because he used to be our full-time guy, and he helped build road cases. He's like, oh, they're not that hard. No, it sucks. All right, Alan. Oh, freaking A. Like, he's there all symmetrical. I'm just like,
right.
Wherever the hell it fits.
No.
But no, I mean, I totally understand why these people charge so much money for road cases. But yeah, I mean, I do see DJs that do have, what is it called? They do have gun cases that they use for gear, and that's just a terrible, terrible thing. I mean, we have ammo cases, but you can't tell they're ammo cases for the pins and clips. I had one of my guys say, "Hey, get the ammo case." Don't fucking say that out loud, you idiot! It's not an ammo case.
Yep.
Oh man, so
Bad luck.
Let's see here. Lindley asks, I'm interested in the cases used for your lighting consoles. The smaller ones for the Midicon, that is the Marathon. That's just a generic 19-inch case, and I can tell you, we have the one that they made for Denon as well. One of my DJs, his system got caught in a meth fire. He says it's a welding accident. Nah, it's a meth fire as far as I'm concerned. And the Marathon case saved it. I mean, actually, it was just a little bit of paint, but the whole thing was embellished in flames. Like, you could see soot around the case, and it saved the Denon. So, yeah, that, that whatever it was less than $150 for the case, but it saved our Denon MC6000. And that's a great unit. They don't make them anymore, and they're getting pretty expensive. Let's see here. We are blah, 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 blah. So we did Chris McMahon, Isaac Wright. I have nothing here. All right, let's go into the next three. Holy freaking crap. Okay, I know one person is here at least. Alan Brantley. He will not need the Master School Dances series, but Alan, you can win the headphones. Let's see here. The next one, I believe he also has the Master School Dances series. Well, at least we have, I hope he's here. Seth Miller. Seth Miller, are you there? And I think I saw his name, or was that yesterday? Let's see, hang on one second. By the way, guys, usually I have the guest pick the names, but Thomas joined us last minute because our other guest wasn't able to make it. So thank you very much, Thomas, for that. And hold on one second here. And yeah, I wasn't able to send this or get the list over to him. So here we go. John Young show, so definitely don't miss out on that over at DJN. All right, going once. Going twice. Scream my name like my ex-wife did. Okay, then. Oh. All right, here we go. Next. I know he has the Master School Dances series, so I guess he'll be winning the headphones. Marvin Ventura, the projector mapping king. Thomas, have you seen what this guy is doing projector mapping at his proms?
I haven't seen what he's doing.
Dude, he is legit. Like, I am super jelly. Just his creativity is just out the window. Yeah, you definitely got to just find him on Facebook. Like, you'll see him like on the ADJ group and DJ Open Discussion. Yeah, like, I actually had to sit down and pick his brain for a bit. So we have Marvin. All right, Marvin, he wins the headphones. And then the winner of the Master School Dances series, and I know he's here, is Danny Machado. Please tell me you're still here. Let's see. So Marvin is here. Alan is here. I know you guys know where my Facebook is. If you guys can just send me a message on Facebook, we'll get you copied into 6-Star DJ and Marathon Pro, who will hook you up with some sweet-ass headphones. And they're like, they like bend backs. I mean, they're traditional DJ headphones. You know, they're lightweight. You can do single cup. You can double cup, move it around so you can mix like this. I used to wear mine pretty much like this the entire time. Let's see. Where is Danny? Danny was here. Y'all saw Danny, right? Like, there's like a 30-second delay, too. Oops. Well, you know, you have to be present when I call your name. If not, I think the next person is also here. I'm pretty sure it is. Let's see, Danny. I'm already doing the going ones.
I see Danny's chimed in chat there. It looks like.
Where's he at? Okay, hold on. Ashley said he just typed.
Daniel Machado?
Yeah. Oh, there he is. There he is. All right, great. Please contact me on Facebook. Facebook.com/Arnaldo.Offerman.3. Oh, by the way, guys, real quick, I did make a new Facebook specifically to add all my DJ Breatham, so please add me on Facebook. Let me go ahead and put that title on there. Thomas, real quick, while we wrap this up, are there any other tips, anything else that you would like to share, that has helped you on your journey towards school dance kickassery?
Well, the main thing is just not just buying the videos, not just getting the videos, but pay attention to them. Watch them more than once. Don't just turn it on and then kind of glance back and forth, because you still have to put in the work. You still have to apply everything. It's not. They're great tips, but you have to apply them. You have to do the work. So get the videos, watch them. Like Arnaldo said, they're a bit lengthy, but they're packed full of information. They're not boring by any means. So watch them more than once, and the more you absorb, the more you can apply, and the more money you'll make.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Thomas, I do appreciate you tuning in, especially last minute. Everybody else, real quick, if you won, please make sure to add me on that Facebook link that I just posted on there. Everybody else is more than welcome to send me a friend request, and I will definitely be accepting everybody for a limited time only. Let's talk about the other prizes, because we have another set of prizes going on. And even if you won, or if I called your name even, you can still win, because I am too lazy to start deleting names. So, yeah. And again, it's completely random, so we're pretty good on that. So let's see here. Let's talk about who is coming up. Thomas, wouldn't it be hilarious though if you had won today? It's like, huh.
Oh, no, that would look so rigged if I would have won.
I didn't even think about that. I'm like, okay, how is this going to work?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I almost said before we went on, like, man, I hope I don't win anything today, because that would look so bad.
Well, I was very honest when I started this. I know a lot of the people that are in the live stream, they are either my customers or customers of the people that have done prizes. So that's why I figured I'm just going to do it very open with this random.org, and people can't say shenanigans,
Exactly.
So anyhow, guys, if you're watching this even after the stream's over, we have several more prizes. I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more shows, which makes about 18 prizes more to go. Plus, after this is over, we have another big announcement. Thomas, you know what the announcement is.
Right.
You know what it is. Guys, it's
you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
Huge.
Right.
So yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a show, basically just talking about transporting gear, kind of going a little bit further on about how we talked about why road cases are important, especially if there's a meth fire involved. But it's about transporting gear, not just using road cases, but also using bags, because not everything may work in a road case. Sometimes you got to use it in a bag, or vice versa, or sometimes a road case may not exist, or some people put their lighter road cases in bags, which I've seen it done before. But in that case, yeah, that's going to be tomorrow at 9 p.m. Ariba is going to be donating the LS600 gear backpack. Thomas, this thing is badass. My son has one. It'll hold his laptop. There's iPads, multiple hard drives. You can even put 2 laptops in there, and it's almost like military style, where it just clips out in the front, so it the weight balances out real nicely. Then next week are some killer shows too. Next week we've got Pro Gobo, choosing the right Gobo, and everybody's somebody's going to win a free Gobo. ADJA is going to be about understanding DJ insurance, just what we just talked about with the insurance.
Right.
Drax the Man is going to talk about really what the questions to ask, your DJ insurance, and understanding some of these new venues are wanting you to rewrite your insurance policy. It's been a new trend. We're going to talk about that so you don't get caught with your pants down. Mobile Beat, Ryan Berger is going to be coming in to talk about tips for corporate events. His company, BC Productions, has some kick-ass corporate stuff, so he's going to give some tips about that. And somebody's going to win a pass to the Mobile Beat 22 show. Mike Anderson, my man Mike, which, by the way, he's been doing some great live streams. So make sure you guys look for his YouTube channel. Just find Mike Anderson. Mike, you can plug in your channel definitely on the chat. We're going to talk about advanced projection techniques, a lot of it, video mapping and everything else. And Gobo, doing Gobos with projectors. And their winner is going to get the Tools 3.0 download, which is pretty cool. July 3rd, there's going to be a little bit of a break, but July 3rd, we're going to talk about basically what lighting do you need. Not everybody needs a huge-ass, $10,000 light rig. Not even every school wants this huge light rig. So we're going to talk about, what lighting do you need in your part of your business. And Illuminator Lighting is going to give out a Katana LED. After that is 4th of July. Those of you that served or are serving or planning to, thank you very much for your service. So no show during 4th of July, of course. On July 5th, X-Laser. We're going to talk about getting creative with lasers, and there's like an $800 prize, Thomas. They'll give away the X-Laser Caliente Aurora.
Nice. That's an awesome laser.
Do you have any lasers yet?
Nothing I want to brag about.
So you got to tune in for that one.
Right.
Ultimate Ears, that's the next show after that. And we're going to talk about feeling good after the gig. There's a lot of DJs that talk about being healthy. Like, every time you go to these shows and you see Marcello running around with his freaking 6-pack abs at 5 o'clock in the morning, hey, come run with us. No, I don't even run fevers, my dude. Like, what? Like, I feel terrible about myself now. Like, and then Jason Jani lost all that weight. Everybody's losing all this weight, and, here I am. Like, damn it.
I found it.
Yeah, but, but even, of course, we want to be on the path to being healthy. But just because you're healthy doesn't mean you're going to feel good after the gig, or it doesn't mean that you're doing practices where you're not going to regret it several years from now. So you're going to tune in with Dr. Arnaldo. We're just going to talk about some of the things that I've done, because I can tell you, luckily, I've never been sick during an event. I've had the flu and all that, but I pretty much kick it out before an event. I've never had the runs during an event, and every DJ has had, we call it in Latin America chorro, which is basically diarrhea in the middle of your event, and you're like, gotta go. You don't want that, and the same day, you don't want to wake up the next day with your ears ringing, your back hurting. Honestly, this is going to be one of my favorite shows to do, because I feel really confident to tell you that I'm going to give you all some tips you've never heard before. But Ultimate Ears is going to be given a line driver. Now, this is made for your headphones, your in-ear monitors, but DJ mixers really suck to get good audio out of a DJ mixer when you're previewing your headphones. Like, these V-Modas require some ass to be able to move them, and DJ mixers don't have that kind of power coming out of their mixer, believe it or not. So the line driver makes it sound that much better. I haven't scheduled these, but Audio Technica is going to be giving away 2 ATH M50X headphones. RKers, get this, they're going to give away the Grand VJ XT, and somebody else will be winning a Media Master license. Pangolin's going to be given the FB3 Plus Quick Show to control lasers. Electro Voice is giving away a pair of the ZLX 15P speakers, and that's going to be US or Canada. So even if you're in Canada, you'll still be able to win. And Global Trust will be giving away the Ultimate Trust Kiosk. So, yeah, pretty exciting here.
That's a lot of prizes.
Absolutely. So, guys, again, a lot of questions in the chat. I do appreciate all of you tuning in. Let me just kind of go through all the questions here. Again, yes, please send me a friend request and all that. Let's see here. What else? Oh, and if you want to Master School Dances, you also get invited to the Master School Dances Buyers Only group. We're going to be doing some one-on-one seminars. As soon as I'm done with this contest, there's going to be some content specifically only for Master School Dancer subscribers, including, I'm trying to get this in, but we're going to be doing a live stream with a couple SGA advisors that have been doing homecomings for several years, like double-digit years of doing homecomings and proms. So I'm really excited to bring a couple of them in. Let's see here. We already won. Can we win other prizes? Yes. You already know who it is? Sure. Let's see here. Am I going to the DJ Expo? Yes, I should be going to the DJ Expo. Thomas, have you gone to DJ Expo?
Not yet. I haven't been able to make one.
Give it a try. It's a pretty cool show. And that's it, guys. So I'm going to let y'all go over to DJ News right now. Thomas, thank you very much for being part of this show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Everybody else, have a great night. Tune in tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Good night, and God bless.